Hello, everyone. Trying to figure out how to flip this screen because I don't like being on the wrong side. Anyway, this is a practice for me to figure out if I can write on my computer screen. All right, I can. Okay, so we are going to be looking at some sample New York State test questions and how they are written and what you need to understand when you are answering any type of these kind of questions. So for question number 15 that you see on the screen, as used in the paragraph 2, what does the phrase fading into the background mean? This is a vocabulary question. Okay, even though it's a phrase, it's basically vocabulary. How do you know? So the standard is 8.4. Okay, that's acting a little wonky. I don't want signature. Let's fix that. Okay, so as we see that this is standard 8.4, we want to go back to paragraph 2 because paragraph 2 is where we're going to see everything we need to know. So I'm right here. And it says, but it was made out of bricks and cement that had come from the banks of the Hudson. The river, which had fed all those dreams, was now fading into the background. New York didn't seem to need the river anymore except as a sewer, and that's what it became. All right, when we go back to our question, was the river disappearing from view? Could people no longer see it? Would that be what fade into the background means? Is it losing its importance in people's minds? Maybe that's where we're having an issue. People are saying, Hudson River, who cares? Is it moving farther and farther from the city? Do rivers, once they're in place, move generally? No. Do they remain, is it remaining important only to those who value nature? Well, did it say anything in that paragraph about that? If you didn't see anything, then that's not the answer. So we can, process of elimination, get rid of this one and this one. So it's between A and B. A, I'm going to tell you, first of all, is the river disappearing? No, but if you think of fading into the background, oftentimes you think of things as disappearing. So that's your distractor. That's a distractor. So the obvious answer to this is that it is losing its importance in people's mind because people aren't thinking of the river anymore. They're polluting it. They're not looking at, they're just not using the river as it should. So that's where you get that answer. Okay. All right. Next question. Next question, number 16. Here, with these kind of questions, I think that you often see us get confused because we always want, our first instinct is to go for the best answer. The best. This is asking you to look at the least. So you have to sit and say, okay, when I look at each of these 3 paragraphs that are going to be in here, which one of these doesn't support the sentence? All right, so sentence A, New York didn't seem to need the river anymore except as a sewer, and that's what it became. So if we go back to paragraph 2, but then again, not just paragraph 2, we're going to read the paragraph above it. By the 20th century, New York City had long since reached its destiny of becoming the most powerful city in America. In less than 300 years, it had grown from a tiny Dutch outpost in the wilderness to the business capital of the world. It was a city built on dreams, but it was made out of bricks and cement that had come from the banks of the Hudson. The river, which had fed all the dreams, was now fading into the background. New York didn't seem to need the river anymore, except as a sewer, and that's what it became. Okay, that's kind of supported, correct? We see it's telling how the New York City came to be and how important the river was to New York City. So for question B, or for answer B, industry on the river had made some New Yorkers filthy rich, which is in paragraph 3. But I'm also going to look at C because it too is in paragraph 3, but it had just made the river filthy. Okay, go back. But it was made out of bricks and cement that had come from the banks of the Hudson. The river, which had fed all those dreams, was now fading into the background. New York didn't seem to need the, I'm in the wrong paragraph. Industry on the river had made some New Yorkers filthy rich. That's a topic sentence, okay? So your first instinct is, it's a topic sentence, it's going to be supported. But it had just made the river filthy. There's a shift, okay? The shift is but it had just made the river filthy, because now the paragraph goes on to say, garbage, factory waste, plant chemicals, and the raw sewage of cities and towns along its banks were dumped directly into the river. The water turned greenish-brown, except by the GM plant, where it turned red or yellow or whatever color they were painting the cars that day. All of that supports that it made the river filthy, and that was response C. So we have support for A, we have support for C. Now we're down to D, because B probably isn't supported, but let's take a look at D anyway. But now there were other dreamers in the valley with their own dreams of wealth. For this, we go to paragraph 6. But I'm going to look at 5 and 7 as well. Most people didn't start out with the dreams of polluting a river, but it was often the result of people chasing their dreams of wealth with little care of how they reached it. The Hudson Valley had always drawn them. But now there were other dreamers in the valley with their own dreams of wealth. They dreamed of the wealth of wildlife in a healthy forest, the abundance of fish in oxygen-rich water, and the great fortune of living in a beautiful river valley. All right, so let's go back to D. Did they support that other people were dreamers and what they wanted out of the Hudson River? They did. So we can actually get rid of that one too. So B was actually the one that had the least amount of support, because it never once talked about how it made them filthy rich. That's what you're looking for, the answers, but it just made the river filthy. That paragraph went on and explained how it was filthy. That had evidence. New York didn't seem to need the river anymore except as a sewer, and that's what it became. Before that, it had talked about it being a sewer. Supported. But now there were other dreamers in the valley with their own dreams of wealth. Again, supported. The least amount of support was answer B. Okay? All right, let's look at number 17. What is the role of paragraph 7 in the organization of the article? You know, I need to backtrack a little because question 16 is standard. Let me type that in. Standard 8.8. And 8.8, if we go into the English language arts, always like that when you want it not to be. Okay, so this is not one that we use very often, but let's go take a peek at what it is. So you are in 8th grade, and our standard is 8.8. So looking at trace and evaluate an argument and specific claims in the text, assessing whether the reasoning is valid and the evidence is relevant and sufficient, and recognizing when irrelevant evidence is introduced. Okay, so that's where they get the least from. They want you to trace the argument and figure out if the evidence is supporting what it is that they want you to read. All right, let's back. All right, so we are on question 17, which is an 8.5. You can take a peek at that. 8.5 is in literary text and informational text, compare and contrast the structures of two or more texts in order to analyze how the differing structure of each text contributes to overall meaning, style, and theme. Where question 7 is actually not two different texts, it's going to be the structure of the actual document and where is the shift taking place. All right, my document doesn't want to come back. Boop. All right, here it comes. One thing we start to learn when we do virtual is all of the keys that need to be taken out. So I suspect as we go on, these will get a little bit better. You'll be able to fluidly, because, you know, this is all new to me too. And yeah, it's quite exciting, I think, because in a way, what we could do is we could start putting lessons online that you can refer to even when you're not in front of us. So that's kind of a good thing. You have to look at it that way. Okay, sorry, I was eating popcorn earlier. I might have too many things open. It doesn't want to load. Okay, so the other thing that I want to mention is as you're going through News ELA and Common Lit and you're doing the questions on there, you really have to pay attention to what the questions are asking you. I am finding that it seems like we're rushing. You need to understand that both programs show me how long you've been on there. So I know that if some of you spent 5 minutes and you earned a 25, if you're only spending 5 minutes, I can expect a 25. But what I am going to do is I'm going to start resetting the assignments so that if you do earn just a 25, you can retake it and try again. What I really want you to do is really start trying your best, because when you start doing your best on these types of questions, on even though they're on News ELA and Common Lit, you're going to start to see that your ELA test scores are different. Okay, so with this, we're back on our page. Question number 17. First of all, in this particular test, and remember, we took this as part of this as a practice test. This is asking you the role of a paragraph. So it says, what is the role of paragraph 7 in the organization of the article? You were also asked to write about the role of a paragraph. And that was down here in the writing section. And you read the articles about the appliances and things. And there was, let's see if I can get to it. There's session 2. So we read about the appliances, and there was one question that asked you, let me see. Yeah, question number 40. What is, and it's paragraph 7 again. What is the role of paragraph 7 in excerpt from Gadgets Built to Not Last? Use 2 details from the excerpt to support your response. It's the same question. It's the very same question as the one up here. The difference is you had to write about it. So where we kind of went wrong was we were trying to overanalyze the role, okay? So let's take a look at how they actually expect you. And remember, I did say at one point, if you read through the test, sometimes you'll get ideas from other questions. And this was one of those instances. So number 17 says, what is the role of paragraph 7 in the organization of the article? A, it compares the 2 groups of dreamers. So let's go back up and look at 7. So perhaps it was a matter of time before the 2 types of dreamers would meet each other in court. Is it comparing them? No, it's not comparing them. So we can get rid of that one. Maybe. I'm going to use my new pen. B, it concludes the part of the article about industry. It's one sentence. Is it concluding anything about the industry? Not really. All right, so we can get rid of that one. It introduces the part of the article about activists. So let's see. So in there's 7. So perhaps it was a matter of time before the 2 types of dreamers would meet each other in court. In 1963, Con Edison, New York City's power company, proposed a plan for constructing the largest hydraulic pumping station ever built. The plan called for carving out a gigantic hole in the side of majestic Storm King Mountain on the Hudson River. Is that really? No? No. So if you look at this, it transitions to the part of the article where change starts to occur. So in the upper part of the article, we read about the dreamers and what they want for the Hudson Valley. And in the bottom part of the article, it tells us about what actually happened, how they proceeded. But what I want you to look at are these words: compares, concludes, introduces, transitions. That's the vocabulary that you need when you are writing these types of questions. So make sure you're looking, and you are, maybe go back into the test, and does it have something there? Okay, so if you don't have any questions, or if you do have any questions, I'm sorry, go ahead and type them up, send them to me through Remind. Remember, my Remind code is, let me get that for you. If you have not already signed up for Remind, please make sure that you do. And also make sure that you are accessing Clever. Make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube videos. And, all right, so my Remind code, I'm going to do this with text because I think it'll be better, is at G3 D6CHC8. Okay, so you can contact me there. You can contact me through Canvas, email, all over the place. We are totally connected. All right. All right. So take care, and I hope you found this to be helpful, especially when you're answering the questions in UZLA and Common Lit. All right. I will talk to you later. Bye. If I figure out how to go ahead.